Hello, Master Monster here. By the time you're watching this, I'm recording this a day in advance. Hopefully I get to uploading it tomorrow. But it is day 47 until, 47 days till S.t.a.l.k.e.r 2 releases. And if you're as diehard as a fan as me, then you probably watched the documentary that released today, the day I'm recording this. Wait, I just realized I'm making this very confusing. I watched the documentary today, and I'm gonna upload this tomorrow. Anyways, um, I, not even low-key, I fucking cried during, like, half the documentary. Um, and it's no one, I mean, you know they're going through, like, a war. Um, and that's why, like, all the delays are happening. And that was like the biggest thing going into the documentary. I was like, okay, this game is being delayed so much. But like, why? Specifically, like gritty details. Why? Um, just knowing like there's a war going on and being like, how did that affect the game? Like, not from like a, like I need to know because how dare they protect it, but like, just like, Jesus, how bad is it? Kind of deal. And it was fucking awful. I mean, it still is awful. It's like the war is still going on. But they revealed a lot of interesting things that I think shed us a light on a lot of things, and then um, just kind of, are nice to hear about. Um, so first of all is the fact that they prior and only just prior to the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, with their illegitimate war, their, and some might even say genocide. Um, I think that term's appropriate here, but I'm not an expert on genocides. So, but I believe for it to be a genocide, all you have to do is attempt to wipe out a country's or a group of people's culture. And and Russia is definitely doing that. If I don't know if that I don't know if there's more qualification outside of that, but like what Russia's doing is obviously not okay. Um, of course, anyone with half a brain that isn't fucking rotted out would say that. But so they moved, and the amount of dedication this team, GSC Game World, has to like protecting their people. They paid for buses and like to move they paid for their families to move to the west end of Ukraine from they said they're located in Krylev, Kryvov. I'm butchering that name, but they were in Krev, I think, Kryv, and they moved them to the west to like the border because they they felt like they'd be safe there because I guess it's controlled by NATO or some shit like that. Um, which was smart. They detailed how they had buses prepped long in advance and just drivers ready to go, or something like that. And I thought that was crazy. Like just to have people in buses is just waiting for what was, at least described in the documentary as something they hope would never happen and thought was like maybe thinking like, oh, we think it's gonna happen, but we don't want it to. Is it really going to? Kind of deal. You need to watch this documentary. It's so good. I mean, it's an hour and like 35 minutes, so it's obviously a long watch, and it requires your full attention because it's not hardly any of it's in English. So it is a lot of reading subtitles. Um, and I can't do it justice by just talking about it, but I wanted to highlight some key aspects in case you didn't want to watch the whole thing. So yeah, and then they moved their hardcores into um, Hungary, an office in Hungary. I guess someone who they knew or something set them up real good with an office after they moved to like Hungary. I think it was Hungary. Was that? I'm pretty sure it was Hungary. Um, uh, Feel free to fact check me that in the comments section and tell me your favorite stuff about the documentary in the comment section. Um, but yeah, they had to like reset up all their recording shit. They had the computers and stuff, but they couldn't bring. You can't just bring a motion capture room and stuff because it's like a specific setup and stuff. So like that knocked this whole thing, and that kind of like getting an answer to like the difficulties of that specifically. It pertains to like the war, and then also just like what's all going into a game as a aspiring, hopefully soon to be game dev sometime in the future. Now, granted, I won't be working on motion capture shit if I do game dev. I can't do that. That's like decent sized team, bigger production stuff. You know, but like I don't know. That's the stuff that fascinates me the most. Um, the there. So yeah, that was a nice to learn about. I mean, it wasn't nice that it happened, obviously, but it's happened. Nothing you can do about it. And then like the I in the comment sections and also like people talking about like the game and like how important it is, seeing like hearing from people in the studio like how much this game means. When's the last time you ever heard a studio, that wasn't like just the head of like whoever's producing the game, like Todd Howard or something, it's been like, we need this game, like the, there's a palpable, like when you watch the documentary, like you can feel that they want to get this right, not only because they care about the community that they fostered over all these years. Last game was called Pripyat. Its birthday, I think, or 17th anniversary, 18th anniversary, was like yesterday, the day before, something like that. Like that's crazy. So that the game hasn't had a follow up in like 17 years. Most people would give up on a sequel for that long. I still want, not that this even the same genre, but I still want a good sequel to SSX 2012 because 2012 was good. It wasn't SSX 3, but it still was a good game, and just EA hasn't touched anything like that. So like once games start getting like that old, I could understand why people would, get doubtful of a sequel and stuff. But this team is so committed. It honestly reminded me of like old school Bungie, and not like current Bungie, obviously, because current Bungie is it's whack. Current Bungie is whack. Current 343 is, well, we have yet to see, but old 343 before the heads like Bonnie Ross and whatever left was whack as well. Hiring people that hated Halo and stuff like that. I still can't believe that that's 100% true, but definitely like the aspect of like all these game industries, like 343 only hiring contractors for 18 months or some shit like that. Like that's just so crazy. Like there's no cohesiveness of a unit. They all work together. There was shots of like them in the studio all like watching the same stuff, looking at the same stuff. Some of us is like watching the coverage on the war from their stuff, but also I'm sure they looked over the game and stuff. there's like one shot of like I think Phil Spencer at like one of the games like 2023 Gamescom thing or whatever, and I thought that was like really weird. Just put Phil Spencer in like for a second. I'm like, yep, Xbox is behind this game. Um, just because my opinions on Phil Spencer are so mixed at this point. I feel like he cares, but also I feel like he's like half gamer that cares, and then half I have to speak PR bullshit. Um, but yeah, I think what I'm just trying to get at is I don't think this game can be a failure. I'm not saying it's gonna be perfect, and I don't think GSC Game World is gonna say this game's perfect, like gonna be like spotless and stuff. But this game's gonna have DLC, so I imagine they'll continue they'll patch all the hardcore stuff, all the major game breaking stuff, and then if players find even more things, um, uh, they'll they'll probably continue patching it while working on adding mod tools and the multiplayer and this DLC stories that they've apparently are going to be working on. Probably won't see a roadmap, honestly. I would not expect them to put out a roadmap. Um, but yeah, I miss the game dev teams. Like I wish more game dev teams would you know, it would mean the world to I think Bethesda players if Bethesda would be like, oh, here's what the team and we sit on like even when they were launching Starfield, it didn't have like you had people in charge talking about it, but no one ever like talked about like what the game meant to them and stuff like that. And it like it was always just like, oh, I like when I did this thing. That's my favorite thing to do in the game. Like it's like kind of cool, but at the same time, like it didn't just this that's kind of there was a comparing it to like this documentary, and like that wasn't even a documentary, but comparing like how GSC talks about their game versus how like before Starfield, how select people at Bethesda talked about Starfield. It's like a night and day difference. Um, uh, so like yeah, and honestly, like I think Stalker 2 is gonna be like way better than any Fallout game because I feel like Fallout is like the biggest like kind of triple A comparison you can compare a Stalker game to, even though it feels nothing like a Fallout game, and it plays nothing like a Fallout game except shoot things and radiation. Um, you know, there is no other Stalker game outside of Stalker, and I know people are gonna say there's like Gamma and other things like that, but like there's Stalkcraft, but like none of it plays like Stalker. Even Stalker Gamma is kind of like just a more just sandboxy, kind of just make your own objectives, do your own thing, kind of sort of like kind of not even really a focus on story. Um, and once again, it is using the Stalker engine, so it's like I know there's been like a few like Stalker X inspired games. I played a demo for one a little bit ago, but even then, like it just still doesn't nail that. It never has the same feel. Like I've played through all these games once already, and it just doesn't have none of the other games have been able to match the feel or even like I'd say an immersion based. Because honestly, like it's been a long while since I've been able to just kind of sit in a game like and just tune everything out. But like whenever I jump in a game like this, even in one as old as this, I can't even imagine what like the newer Stalker is gonna do to me. Just with the high tech graphics, the engine improvements, the AI improvements, it's not like I'm taking it out of the immersion when the AI start like looking up into the sky or looking or ignoring me, and just continue to look out a window even though I'm shooting them in the back, which just happened to me like literally like 10 minutes ago when I was playing. It's not like that throws me out. I'm just kind of like, it's kind of like, I see it as a break from from the AI literally just beaming me down. I kid you not. I was trying to do the same area before they like stopped looking at me. It's not like they were fully glitched out. It's just they were worried about the Freedom members and busy shooting them, and I just came up behind them and shot them in the back, and they just they would look at me, and then they'd look at the Freedom people again. It's like they would reload, look at me, and be like, "Oh shit, this guy's behind me," and then be like, "Oh yeah, Freedom, let's continue shooting them." um, and before I even gotten to that point, I'd been just like completely destroyed by like a guy in a dark room on like the lower part of the floor, and almost got destroyed by a few other people on that run too. So it's not like I am playing on master mode, but it's not like it's a pushover. Um, and I kind of don't expect them to remove that quirkiness from their AI. Um, I'm because it's just gonna be an upgraded engine from what they're using. And honestly, I think I'd be a bit disappointed if a little bit of the quirkiness wasn't removed, or if all the quirkiness was removed from the AI. Because honestly, like, it is kind of funny to see the AI kind of like, it's not like they're like busted all the time. You just get these random moments where like other AI in the area and like they do something weird. There's also like chances where like I have been killed by my own AI because they fucking I just happened to be standing trying to take a shot and someone strafed and and decided to shoot while like I was between them and the target, and I've been lit up by my own allies before too. It's like it's just like little interesting things, um, and of course, um, they're emphasizing their whole freedom stuff with these games. Something Bethesda seems to forget that players like to choose what to do. And even in this game, you have multiple factions to choose from. It seems like that's going to be the same case for the new game. But I want to talk about the factions and stuff later, like at a later date. I want to do a video on that too. But yeah, just I feel like this is going to be another like Larian Studio level like hype game. At least that I want it to be. I hope it is. It's feeling like that a little bit. Um, yeah, yeah. And I'm tired. Anyways, but yeah, I've been posting soccer content fairly every day. So if you want to see more content, and you feel like liking the video and subscribing, go for it. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna make you either. I can't do any of that. I'm just a guy on the other end of your computer screen or phone screen. But I would appreciate it, and I would give you a virtual high five, but you can't see me. You probably don't want to see me. I could be wrong. If you want to see approximately what I look like right now, there are older videos on my channel before I started posting all the Stalker content you can find. And I'll eventually do a webcam video with the webcam on my PC. Eventually, again, I don't do them as often because there's not really much of a point. And I have to like dig through and like get to my like older software sometimes with that. But yeah. I hope all you stalkers out in the zone stay safe. And I will hopefully see you around. Peace out.